Keyword research is the important process of determining what users are coming to your website for, what phrases they're searching when they move from the search engines to your web page. And it's very important to develop your website so that there's a path from where the users enter your website based on the keywords that they search to your ultimate checkout goal, or whatever your goal of the website is, the conversion. This is important because you're identifying those very qualified, highly converting user queries. While it's more difficult to track these days with not provided being a part of Google Analytics, you can still track based on landing page, based on user intent, and this is what you're going to want to be writing for, is what the user is really looking for when they land on that web page. You need to know what words they're searching to arrive at your website and which search queries are going to develop into the most business in the long term. And ultimately, you're trying to get rid of the marketing speak. The marketing department is kind of trying to dress up a product or a service. One of my favorites was a company selling cloud restoration solutions rather than remote backup software. Their customers were searching for remote backup software, but the marketing department was describing it as cloud restoration services. This is a disconnect in terms of the keyword research, in terms of what people are searching to get to the website and what the marketing department thinks they may be selling. And ultimately, the most important reason that you want to do your keyword research well is because you don't want Lumbergh from Office Space. You can hear his ghost haunting us all, saying you didn't have a cover sheet on your TPS keyword reports. So don't get caught by Lumbergh working the weekend. Do your keyword planning, research, and prioritization effectively by understanding your business model, by understanding the value of the keywords, by understanding what the users are really looking for when they land on your website. And then in the next video in this series, we'll look at how competition in the search results impacts your decisions and your prioritization for your keyword research and ultimately your entire SEO strategy. So when we go through this keyword research process that we're diving into, we're going to start by just creating a large keyword seed list. We're just going to brainstorm and expand that list and come up with all the words that can possibly define our company. We'll call that our keyword universe. We're expanding our keyword universe and listing all of the possible keywords. Then we're going to evaluate the volume and benefit and the user intent of these keywords. We're going to evaluate the search engine result position opposition, meaning we're going to look at the individual search results for a query like insurance and see who the competitors are and how they stack up against our website. And then finally, we're going to refine that keyword list and come up with some prioritization strategies to look at this keyword is more beneficial to rank for than this keyword, and this is where we should be focusing our efforts based on our business model, based on the value of those keywords, based on the opposition. So let's start with the definition of keyword value. I like to call this keyword benefit for terms of Cobb analysis. And keyword benefit is just the benefit of ranking number one for a targeted keyword. And if you reach that goal of ranking number one in the search results for something like online health insurance or whatever your targeted phrase may be, that's the benefit. When you start booking business and selling services, that's what you're ultimately looking for, and that's the value in keywords. And it's based on search volume, which is the amount of people that search for a given phrase in a month. The cost per click is a very good indicator of high value or high benefit phrases because it means more people are bidding on those phrases at a higher cost per click, most likely because they have a higher conversion rate for those phrases or higher profit margins. Now, we can't be sure of our competitors' profit margins or their conversion rates, but we can be aware of our own and we can incorporate those, and we can see the overall search volume and cost per click as good indicators of keyword value or keyword benefit. Now, there's a variety of tools that we'll look at for determining keyword benefit. First and foremost is directly from Google through their CPC tool, the AdWords Planner, which is constantly changed and tweaked a little bit here and there, but they do give you average monthly searches, estimated clicks, estimated cost per click, and we can import that into a spreadsheet and look at something like this. And then what I like to do to come up with a keyword benefit score is just multiply the average CPC times estimated clicks. Now this will give us just a random number of total keyword value. Now if the cost per click comes out as a 0, which it sometimes does, I would just come up with an educated guess here. You can see the cost per clicks here seem to be between $2. So I would probably fill in that 0 at a $2 mark, just because it's in that range as an educated guess. What we're looking to do is establish relative benefit. Is life insurance more beneficial to rank for than insurance? Or is health insurance or car insurance more beneficial? Which one has more volume and higher CPC? Once we start looking at these indicators of keyword value, we start to get a better picture for which phrases are going to be the most beneficial overall for our SEO campaign, which ones we should prioritize as the most beneficial, as the phrases that are most important for our website and SEO strategy. And we get a better picture of that by looking at the value of a #1 ranking. And that's just using a basic formula for the volume of clicks and the value of those clicks being the cost per click, and coming up with that value of a #1 ranking. SEO Book has a competitive research tool that's wonderful for this. You find a competitor that's doing best in the space. In this case, State Farm Insurance or Allstate Insurance are the two that we'll be looking at. And then we start organizing by their best keywords and the value of those keywords, and we get a better picture for what I like to call the market defining keywords. These are those top 2 and 3 word phrases that are going to provide the most value. They're also going to be extremely competitive. They may not be related to our business model, so we'll need to start ruling some of those keywords out. But we want to first establish those market defining keywords in a space like insurance. And in insurance, it's car insurance, auto insurance, life insurance, health insurance is obviously up there, but maybe something that State Farm doesn't provide. So we need to start evaluating that list, looking at the intent, looking at the business model, and overall just establishing those market defining keywords. You can see with State Farm and Allstate, the phrases are a little bit different. And this one I know is Allstate because I see Mayhem in there as one of their commercials. And you can see the cost per click of that phrase goes way down even though the volume is pretty high. Now it's probably the user intent there is not always Allstate Mayhem commercials. It may be other search volumes for Mayhem. There may be bands or photos or something else that is related to Mayhem. But you can see that their phrases are a little bit different, and we have to dig in a little further to find those market defining keywords. So the way to do that is with building a basic keyword strategy. And the way we're going to do that is some initial research to build a great big seed list, including all the potential terms that would be available in that keyword universe. And then we're going to evaluate that list, organize that list, and marry it to our website architecture. Make sure that our information architecture reflects the priority in the most important market defining keywords. Market defining keywords are also often referred to as short tail keywords. And the term short tail comes from the book The Long Tail: Why the Future of Business is Selling Less of More by Chris Anderson. And Chris's theory of the long tail is that our culture and economy is increasingly shifting away from a focus on a relatively small number of products or services at the head or top of this distribution curve. And as costs of production fall and there's more options, consumers are more drawn to the longer tail or the more niche products. So that's the idea of the long tail, and the long tail of search applies to the most popular keywords being at the head of that distribution curve and the niche products being available at the long tail or right hand side of that distribution curve. So we can see that in a couple different ways based on Experian and Hitwise data. This little analysis was done by Moz.com. Less than 20% is going to be the top 10,000 keywords that are searched by people. Now the long tail is every other variation of that, but you can see how this applies to that long tail with the search demand curve. Most 70-80% of all queries are unique or in the long tail, have very little search volume. So when we use these keyword research tools, they might not be reflected. So you can see the top 10,000 keywords account for about 30% of all searches. Now, as that applies to insurance, obviously as you go up that head, the terms there have the most volume, but they're also the ones that everyone wants to compete for. So therefore, it's difficult to compete for those terms, and you have to rule those out as you get into your COB analysis. There's more unseen variables there. People are more aggressive with these terms, and you can see how this applies to insurance. At the top, or short tail, the head, we have insurance, getting into car insurance quotes, and then as that search string gets longer, we get further and further into the long tail. Now, when you're looking for what to compete for with your keywords, the reality is that you're going to be in that long tail. Everything in that head can just be vanity or insanity or downright stupidity sometimes. The opportunity lies in that chunky middle, building up from the long tail over the course of a couple of years, using a very valid SEO strategy, highly targeted keyword targeting, and just really understanding your marketplace and SEO in general. At the foundation of a successful SEO strategy, finding those opportunistic keywords based on low opposition and high benefit, we start this process by creating a seed list, by brainstorming and expanding this key list and getting into the other areas of the keyword search process. We're going to start with exploring our keyword universe, or what we call the keyword discovery process. This is when we're using a variety of tools and just brainstorming all the possible keywords within our keyword universe. There's a multitude of tools that we can use that we'll look at. We'll go through this entire keyword process using these tools, but the idea here is to create that initial seed list, a spreadsheet just full of different types of words, how they apply to your site, and start evaluating those words. But the first step in that process is just creating that list. And we can do that by doing some simple searches, using some of these tools, finding those industry-specific market-defining keywords and exploring those further. We can look at existing pay-per-click campaigns if we have those available to us. We can look at internal site search, what people are looking for on your site, if we have that information available to us, or we can just go to all the keyword research tools. SEMrush is one of my very favorite. It's a paid subscription, but it is a fantastic tool and does a variety of other things. WordTracker has always been a good standby SEO book tool. AdWords tool is free as well. You do need an AdWords account. That doesn't mean you necessarily have to be using that account, but you can use that tool. And Ubersuggest is a cool little tool based on Google Suggest. They scrape the Google Suggest and then give some suggestions based on alternative longer tail queries of your search. So Ubersuggest, cool little tool for creating that initial seed list, and then we're going to expand it further. We're going to look at plural versus singular. Sometimes there's a difference there. Do get the question often of how do you optimize for both. Use your language sparingly, or use your language as it's intended. Sometimes people will search one way or another based on if they understand the language or not. But look at those variations, see the differences in volume there, and obviously go for the higher volume, less competitive version. You're going to be looking for synonyms. If you're working in car insurance, you obviously want to include auto insurance and know the relative search volume and search benefit of these phrases. And obviously consider all of these long tail terms that we've been talking about. Don't just look at the head, don't just look at the market defining keywords. Look at the entire long tail and the phrases available to you for your website there. When you start evaluating your lists, when you build that spreadsheet out and you start looking at the reason you should target certain terms, it will likely be based on your business model. It'll be based on these monthly traffic estimates from Google AdWords or other sources, which we kind of have to take with a grain of salt. Some of those volume estimates aren't the best, sadly, but it is the best thing we have, so that's what we work with. Now, are your goals, ranking for short-term news? Maybe that creates a little buzz, maybe new popular phrases that are in that longer tail that just have search volume for a short period of time and ranking for news related phrases? Or are you looking for those really commercial, transactional, long-term phrases that don't change? This is going to play a role in what you will need for your SEO strategy. You're going to need to eliminate those phrases that are too competitive. If the people have had those phrases building links, building content, building website assets for years, and you're just jumping into it, creating your website, those aren't the phrases you want to be starting off. You don't want to try to rank for insurance or online insurance if you're just starting your insurance website. You want to pick some lower competition, lower volume, probably lower benefit phrases, but they're the ones that you can target, and then you can accomplish those goals. And it helps you to set those expectations with yourself, with your clients, and with others better if you're targeting those phrases that you can actually achieve. You want to make sure that your organic list lines up with your paid search if you are doing paid search. We're going to look at considering intent in just a moment here. And one more time, you really have to look at the business goals. You have to look at your bottom line revenue and profit on given products or services to decide what you want to target.